Well, good evening. Happy Monday. I hope everyone's having a good evening. This is a broadcast that actually um, was supposed to take place about a week or so ago, and it didn't happen, but better late than never. I'm Bruce Boswell, your host. Welcome to Soft Life Podcast. Sometime this evening, my good friend Kuri from the UK will be joining us. We're going to collaborate and talk about a very important and much needed conversation regarding women being submissive and submission in a relationship. What does that look like? And just kind of have an organic conversation that will take us wherever it may be. In the meantime, let me touch on a couple of things. I just uploaded a video. If you haven't seen it yet, in regards to P Diddy, house getting invaded by the feds. Hey Mar, how you doing, friend? How's your weekend and the beginning of your week going? I'm actually going to do a co-host with another YouTuber. It should be coming in at some point, named Kuri, out of UK. Met him here on YouTube, and he's doing a lot of good work as far as like relationships. His focus is actually men um, that have an unhealthy relationships, so they feel sexless relationships. So we are supposed to have it. I think that's him. There he is. Let me see.
Hey, Joe.
Well, well, hello. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Wonderful to see you. Let
Yeah,
me
same.
just say it's going well. I took today. Well, make sure you enjoy it, because we all know that taking them days off are important. Hold on, Kiri, where you at? I'm trying to do the layout, Kiri. Let me see.
You know, it's
Here we go. I think there we go. Well, look at there. Hi, Kiri. How are you?
very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that we finally had the opportunity to link up and have this conversation. If you don't mind, one, I want you to introduce yourself, and two, and talk about your channel and what you do, and then we can kind of organically start our conversation, so people can know how to find you, and we can also leave it in the comment section too.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Kuri. I help men within sexless relationships. A lot of people find themselves in a relationship after the honeymoon period. They have children. They find themselves in a place where they've got a mismatch in desire. But more importantly, it's not about the sex. It's more about the connection, fulfillment within the relationship. Sex is just the sign of the decline of that missing piece. So we help them rediscover that connection, and also the sex becomes an important part where they can establish that connection and have that connection where it's fulfilling for both of them. So we predominantly help men, and sometimes we've helped couples. It's
Mhm.
the process, but that's what we do on my channel right now. At the moment, it's linked to my podcast, so we're doing a few things. We should be getting a lot more videos coming up in the next few weeks. So really excited on the journey that we're on, helping men within their relationships.
That's wonderful, and I think for me, and this is just my thoughts. When I see current day in the sexuality, the promiscuous, and just the nature of where the younger generation is, I think at some point, I mean, it's very much needed now with the work that you're doing, but you might be too busy in the future, because it's definitely. I think there's a disconnect. Obviously, there's a disconnect somewhere, and it's important to have these authentic, honest conversations, because a lot of people are suffering. And then a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, and they have learned a lot of the wrong things. So it's wonderful to hear that you're doing what you do.
Yeah, it's massively important as I think that I had a conversation last week with the person, and where they're asking me, why is it that you're doing this, and what led you to this? And for a while, I didn't have an answer up until recently. That
Mhm.
right now there's a massive shift in the world. We've devalued relationships for a very long time, and we thought it was by devaluing it, we were catching on to some sort of freedom. So you see this thing where most guys think if they have multiple girlfriends, then that's freedom, which is not. Some women think that not being tied down to a one man, or it's again by not being tied down and being prescribed, being out there with
Mhm.
everybody. Again, that they see that as freedom. The only problem with that is that as a society we are failing. So it's almost like a cancer that's sort of eating our society that we're unaware of. The flip side of it is that we are having less homes with children with both parents, and that is important because over a period of time, the children won't have an idea of what a successful relationship looks like, and when that happens, we're, we're, we're down the downward spiral of having toxic relationships. Uh,
Mhm.
flip side of that is that as a population, the the birth rates are like that, so they're going lower. So that means for certain people, it's we're going to find some issues. So, for example, I don't really know the numbers in America in terms
Mhm.
of community, but what does that look like if you have, for example, passport bros? So if you had two-thirds of the black males were going outside and marrying other races, what does that look like for the actual race in terms of the decline of that? So 100 years from now, do we see less black people within America? Does that impact on that? So in the UK, the one thing that we have is that the Muslim birth rate is quite high. So I wouldn't put it past it that in the next 100 years, England could potentially be a Muslim nation. I'm not saying that's the case, but based off of the numbers of how we view relationships and marriage and sex and all of this is very important that when we now have stable homes where we've got both parents, and I personally am giving good examples to my children of what a good relationship looks like, what it's how you can be of separate um, ideas, but still be collaborative and still grow as a couple and have good values.
Mhm.
And if I pass that on to my children, they can pass that on to their children. And again, it still comes back to that two-parent home and starting from there. So there's several things, reasons why it's probably the message that we should, or at least important message for the population right now of the world.
That's ironic that you mentioned that because I came across an article on one of these platforms because I read a lot, and what you just said in regards to the African American population and how over, and they was specifically talking about the United States, the black male typically is the least to marry the same race. Out of all the races, the black male was the least to marry, and that is a reality. And then I saw something else where somebody was doing an analysis and saying like the intention was to for black women to reproduce with other races and kind of um, you know they didn't use the word extinct, but just not reproduce, full-blooded black people, and that is real. Um, Anytime I'm constantly seeing different people or different articles, saying this, and then when I was growing up, um, I only saw so I didn't grow up in a very diverse environment, but I did grow up in an area where either you were black, Caucasian, or biracial. It wasn't other nationalities, um, and it was rare, that happened, but it wasn't it wasn't as prevalent. And now it's very prevalent, and I don't have an issue with. I believe you love who you love and you marry who you marry, right? But my issue is when, number one, within the black community, no, be it if you in the United States, England, or where have you, a lot of our history and a lot of our experiences was unhealthy and it was misinformed. And I think there's a lot of healing that needs to go on amongst us as a race. It's not even about you know pushing other races out or being prejudiced. None of that. It's about healing within this race that nobody else can help us with. And then how do we go forward and make decisions from that healthy stance. Right now I think a lot of decisions are made within the minority community because of hurt and pain and a need, and manipulation, let's be honest. And it's just ironic that you brought up that topic, and I just have been seeing a lot of material out there speaking about this. And I do so believe not everything is true, but there is truth in everything you
Yeah,
know
and a lot of it, there isn't anything for free. There's so and I'm quite connected to some of the music and stuff that comes out from over there in the States. So I hear some of the lyrics, and I've heard that for the last 10 years. A lot of it sells, could
Mm,
be, but the information, what is teaching the people, absolutely destructive. So, I mean, even the ones that we think are innocent. So, even
mhm.
when saying all the single ladies and all that, it had this sort of empowering effect. But while you're empowering, you're then also taking away some sort of freedom. So there's always something that when you empower a certain type of people, there's something that else that you're losing as a result of that. But and that again, it's not even that I'm trying to put women down or anything. It's just that it's just a yin yang of things. So, for example, if if my wife decided to see her cooking for us and making sure that we all have our clothes clean and started seeing all of that massive burden, and then she's now trying to make a stand and say, you know what, that's not, I'm not only good for this, there's no value in this. All of a sudden our relationship will fall apart, because that means then I can go and make the money that we make in order for us to survive. So because I'm now involved with, I mean, there's this defined roles, but there's this real thing of, okay, we need to empower more of the women. By doing so, what is the flip side of it? So if she thought she was worthless because of that service, then what does that mean for our relationship? Because then she feels like she's worthless. So in order to feel empowerment, it might be beyond our relationship. So that's a split in the relationship. That means that's a signal for my daughter, that's a signal for my son, and that's another. So everything has got its cost. So culturally, when we talk about women as bitches, when we talk about fuck him and leave him, all this,
Yes.
everything is got. Oh, it sounds good and we can party and dance to it, but it's got its own other side where it's just like the whenever you empower something, something is, there's always that yin yang. So while I, as a father of a daughter, I wanted to have the same freedoms that is afforded to everyone, whether male or female. I wanted to be able to go for any job and be hired based off of merit, not by whether it's a gender. I wanted to be able to achieve great things based off of the skills that she's, everything like this. That's how I would want to bring my child up. But at the same time, I think it will always come down to uh, the relationships that we're in right now. How is how is culture affecting the relationship that we have right now? Just one step before I hand it over is that they say 50% of divorce,
Mhm.
people in marriages, 50% of them end up in divorce. I would argue and say the additional 45% that remain, or 50% that remain married, 45% of them are unhappily married. So again, we're still at a massive loss. So the work that needs to be done to not only keep relationships together, it's also how do you make them fulfilling, so we can make marriages good again.
Well, I think one of the things that I speak about and that I believe to be true, and this is from lifelong experiences. Number one, living in my skin, and also everybody that pretty much I know. within the Black community, most people don't love themselves. So how are you going to love somebody else? And it has evolved into this very materialistic, selfish, mentality. Because I was just watching a video earlier. It might have been on Instagram or somewhere, but it was this girl, and I just cringe at it because everything is about something sexual, dropping it like it's hot, twerking. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's like, and it's so natural. I'm talking about from very little girls to grandmothers. And what are we saying to, those that are looking up to us, and we're supposed to set standards? See, nobody's responsible anymore. Nobody takes on any responsibility of trying to put forth, you know, uh, principles and standards for others to emulate. Everybody I hear a lot of mind your own business when when you're out here putting out information on social media, or it's always us talking about us. Because we also don't like the truth. When somebody gives an assessment of, bad information, I'll give you a prime example. Now, of course, these are opinions, but I did an assessment of, and I'm not for sure if you're familiar with these artists, but Ashanti is a singer over here, and Nelly, he's a rapper. Um, she's allegedly pregnant by him. They haven't came out, but she's pregnant by him allegedly, right? Now, this is after they broke up. He left her for a friend's woman, Floyd Mayweather's ex,
Oh,
10 years ago. And they were together about 10 years, right? So, and Ashanti was hurt, and Nelly was very transparent with you know Floyd Mayweather's ex, Chantel Jackson, when they was together that 10 years. And then they end up breaking up. So here recently, I don't even know if they've been back together a year. So I came out and did assessment of that. I think she, number one, is unhealed. She ran back in that relationship. There's unhealed pain there. Now you pregnant, and she's in her 40s, no kids. I said, it's bad decision making. People didn't want to hear that. All they wanted to hear was, oh, they back together and they're perfect together. How in the hell are they perfect together? And he dumped her, broke her heart. They was apart 10 years, and they ain't even went to no, I'm assuming, no therapy or nothing. And that's, oh, mind your own business. Well, see, that is my business, because the minority community, we have an unhealthy obsession with celebrities, and we care more about what's going on with them than we do ourselves. And so you have all these young people looking to emulate them. And then when you have people my age and older that is encouraging and saying that they perfect together, and not looking at the underlying issues, like, this isn't a good example. They ain't even married, and they ain't even been together a whole year, or no more than a little over a year. You know, it's not setting up a realistic example, and it's not fair to have children in these situations. And now you have all these young children. I just saw an article where it was three minors. They didn't know how old they was, that robbed a Wells Fargo bank. The ages was 16, 12, and 11.
God, it's
It is
horrible.
a real problem, and people, and those of us in this community don't want to hear the truth. And I either said this during another live, somewhere it's posted recently, not only a couple of days ago. I said one of the biggest problems that I see within our community is the older people. The older people are either doing these bad behaviors, or they're endorsing them,
Yeah,
and they're not being accountable, and they're not holding anybody accountable. And now these younger people, you can't tell them nothing, and they're dangerous.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that I can speak a lot. I mean, we get information from America, we see certain things, but I do certainly think it's probably universal, at least in this
Hmm.
country. The fathers in the home, it's
Hmm.
some, especially within the black community, they have a child, and then after a while they go, or they have a child and never take responsibility. But there is value in having fathers in the house. So, and
Hmm.
I think this because See, last week I had a conversation with my daughter. She's 11 and she's at a big school now. So they tend to wear skirts and then lift them, just they fold them at the top, so they make them shorter.
Mm-hmm.
She did this, and I said, "What are you doing?" So I'm now putting it to the sword to it, and wanted to see a reaction because everybody's doing it. So I said, "You're not everyone." And every time you lift your skirt and you make it higher, you might think it's cool with the girls, but it's the information that you're putting out there. Now, we have never sugarcoated anything about. We've spoken about sex to what she can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's not a taboo. We don't want it to be taboo. We don't want any shame associated with it. So I said, what will happen is that there's some people who are not kind, that people are going to be cruel, and they will see you and they will feel sexual desire, and sometimes intentionally to somebody that you don't want to be wanting to see you that way. And I don't think that's a good thing. And I said, I don't care how you dress, but I will tell you when it's in. And without, we had the conversation.
Right.
Spoke, I'm reinforced what we talked about, and now as far as I see, she's doing at least what I think is the right decision. And I didn't want to take that decision and say you have to do it this way, but it was more. But it's the important message is that it was getting it to be accountable for their actions and consider what those actions are going to be. And I think if we don't have those people in our lives that make us accountable, and I was fortunate enough to have older men that would speak into my life and say, "Oh, I think this is the wrong idea. No, you should do it this way. Or how about if you think about this?" And that has always helped me in many, many places where I could have made horrible mistakes. So I do think accountability is being taken out. Again, it's this: I'm a player versus
Yeah.
I'm a twerker type thing where you it's this real freedom, but it's out of sacrifice of the real thing. So you think 20 years from now, what the society looks like when we continue down this path, if we don't have people that hold people accountable, you know.
Exactly. Hey, just say, good evening, countdown timer, and welcome in. I appreciate you being here. If you haven't, take a moment and hit the thumbs up. We're just having a real organic conversation about relationships, and then, um, you know, the younger people and the older people, the generations and accountability. But to your point, Curie, my father was a great asset to me. He helped me understand how a young lady should be treated. I actually recently spoke about my parents. My mother, she wasn't an affectionate or emotional person. I learned my all my affection from my father. I had to learn how to tell my mother I loved her, but I could tell my father all day long. He expressed love in that way. So that was the first true form of love, from an opposite sex that I had a lot. And to your point, like we was talking about a little while ago, when you don't have that parent in place, like how you were able to speak to your daughter, whether she liked the information or not, as a female that grew up with her father, she heard every word, and that will carry with her. She might not do what you want her to do when you're not looking at this moment because she's young and she's learning, but like they say in the Bible, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they won't stray. That is very true. Even for those people that don't believe in the Bible, they can believe. You cannot deny what happens in your life. These things happen whether you believe in a higher power or not. And when you don't have someone that takes the time to really sit down, because see, rearing and holding people accountable, that takes work. A lot of people are lazy. A lot of people don't want to put in the work. But we need this more now than we have ever needed it. And and it's just you know, it's just more and more evident. The more and more I see these stories, the more and more that I try to understand the younger generation, because I do have you know, a Gen Z child, and I know that their level of thinking is so much different than mine. That I the day of, oh, it's my way and that's just it. You can discipline or try to raise that way, but these younger generations, they're not receiving that, and you're not going to get nowhere. Like, the day of pivoting is here, and understanding how do I navigate differently, so that I, number one, can achieve what I need to achieve with my child, but also give them what they need in order for them to be, you know, healthy and productive. And we don't see it enough. We hold that true. And I say some things out here on social media, and Facebook is worse. Um, Intentional. Like, when I come out here, these are my experiences and my opinions, no more, no less. Um, and to get the response that I get from older people, it's so much clear to me, being out, you know, actively speaking out for over a year now, and it's consistent. One of the biggest problems there's some accountability from all generations, right, and all people, but the older generation, it is very clear to me that level, you know how they say you can't teach your old dog new tricks. Some of them ain't hearing it, and it ain't. But the problem is, younger people need you, and you are not showing up for them.
That's right.
Now we see these things happening.
Yeah, it's wild. It is crazy because now we're in a place where I think we're trying to bring back people to the truth.
Hmm. The truth. Here, so you do a lot of with relationship. Let me give you a scenario real quick, and you dissect this. Now, I haven't been out on a date or anything a couple years. I did a lot of healing, right? I learned how to love myself. That's why I know what's going on out here, because I spend a lot of time alone. I spend a lot of loneliness, a lot of healing, praying, all of that. It was very self love starts out very ugly,
Yeah,
because you got to peel back them layers and address all them lies that you have told yourself and other people told you, and then you got to heal from some of the things that's just rotten inside of you. That's just the truth. So I met this guy, right, and I don't so I'm not an internet person at all. I was just out, and we exchanged numbers. He invited me out to um this seafood place, right? I like seafood, so I met him there. You know, I'm old school. You know, I don't know him. So before then, we kind of text and corresponded, and he said he wasn't looking for anything. It's number one. So I'm 50 now. I know what that means, right? So I believe, um, because I know what it means for people that aren't healed. I'll say that. Um, and he said he was just looking for somebody to hang out with, go to dinner, movies, things of that nature, because he travels a lot and very busy man. I said, well, great. I'm not looking for anything either. I said, and depending upon how our personalities match, I said that might can happen. I said, as long as that you're not looking for anything physical or sexual. So of course he agreed to no, he's not, right? We met for dinner, and of course, uh, we had good conversation. But I also no, he wasn't a great looker. I'm talking to Countdown Timer in the comments. Number one, he wasn't a great looker, but also at this stage in my life, I'm mature enough to know, looks aren't everything. As long as you are trying to take care of yourself, you're not sloppy, and you look like you don't care about your health and things of that nature. It's because I've dated someone, to be honest with you, that wasn't attractive to me at all, but his personality was so inviting and appealing to me. His unattractiveness went away. I no longer He became attractive to me. So I know that lesson in life, right? I know that it's so much bigger than the physical aspect. But in the end, the guy, he well, he wanted to give me a kiss when we left. I said, I haven't even known you for us to kiss. And again, if you're not looking for anything, I even told him, I said, if you're looking for something sexual, I wouldn't be her. I said, I'm not out here playing with people. I said, I kind of told him a little bit about what I do, motivation, advocacy for minorities, mental health, and women, just, being authentic. In the end, this grown people, he was looking for some ass, and he didn't hear from, this is what I think. I want you to assess it. When I told him before we met, um, that if you're looking for something physical, because see what he told me when he said that, he wasn't looking for anything, only somebody to hang out with. I said, oh, he's looking for sex, and he's just trying to be upfront. So me saying, okay, I'm not willing to give up sex. We can hang out, but it won't be sexual. He thought, we go to a really nice seafood restaurant and you pay 200 some dollars for our meal and you can get a kiss or you might get somewhere. That didn't happen. Next day, of course, I got a text message. Oh, I really enjoyed hanging out with you, but I don't think we could go any further because you hang out with your ex periodically. Because I told him that my ex took me to dinner for my birthday, which I only see my ex maybe twice a year. I don't see him at all, and it's not physical. But if you ain't looking for nothing, what you care? And then and we're just at two different places in our life. And I said, we definitely are. Best of luck. So is my and see, I haven't been out in a while, but my assessment was okay. He was my age, so I'm 50. He was 49. He also thought I was younger than I was, and I thought he was older than he was. I didn't think I was older than him. And I think he was from Africa. He actually went to school and was raised in London, and then he's in the US and he's in pharmaceutical and he travels or whatever. But looking at him from the physical aspect, I would say but from the shape of his head, he was a Somalian. But I didn't pick up on his accent until the second time I met him. How you doing, AJ? Welcome in. We just having an organic conversation. This is Kuri. If make sure we're gonna put your information here. Let me do it while we're up here, Kuri. Hold on. Let me go here. So people can. Let me put on the banner. What's your YouTube channel name?
It's got Kuri Mahamba. So
What
K,
makes Kuri
then Mahamba Mahamba.
MBA? Okay. Let me see. So make sure you guys follow Kuri. Look him up. And hit the thumbs up. So what's your assessment? And
Yeah, I think you wanted to. Yeah. You're absolutely spot on with your assessment of the situation. And I think sometimes when guys are at that age and
Mhm.
they're still within the field, it's troubling for me. But personally, I think guys those age that are single find themselves single and they're looking for something steady, they would be valuing courtship because you've been stung enough to start having a longer vetting process. So even before having sex, I would yeah, at least 3 or 4 dates before you actually, because equally the fact that he wasn't willing to have a longer run in courtship. Now, this is not for specifically for people that are older, dating and older, but I think it's just a message for everyone. Uh,
Mhm.
Courtship has been, it's been poisoned over the past few years. So where people are really obsessed with, you know, he has to take me to this really expensive restaurant. He has to be this and that and the other. But definitely, I don't think you had the right intentions in terms of moving
Yeah.
forward.
And again, I haven't been out with someone that I didn't know in several years, you know. And I said, "Am I rusty?" But no, but I'm like, I don't have time to play with people. So it was also another realization. Here I am. This guy is my age, and you still, like it's so much more going on in the world that's of importance. And you spending $200 on a meal ain't gonna get you no tail. You know what I mean? And it's so, and I actually said this recently to someone. I said, if the pandemic hasn't changed you from all that we have all went through, that we never went through before.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't have, number one, a different awakening and a sense of what is important and of time and purpose, then I mean, I'm flabbergasted.
No, and you know what? and I'm saying this, and not because we've got a good friendship.
Mhm.
Uh, you did the absolute right thing. The entry of a relationship is more important. If you go into a relationship having preserved your self-respect,
Mhm.
it becomes a relationship built on respect, and it's a place where you'll be both contributing to the relationship. If you lower your standards, then they will have expectation for you to continuously either lower your standards or treat you in a way that you continuously lower your standards, and you will hate yourself for it. And that's
Mhm.
why people in relationships, they hate the relationship because they hate themselves, because they continuously just settled for less. um, if anything, you have to be really proud of yourself for putting yourself out there. But while you put yourself out there, you were willing to say, "This is the standards that I expect to be treated at, and I'm not going to lower it. Doesn't matter what you spend, I'm still going to keep to that." And if
Mhm.
it's worked out, then you would have known this. This is where we operate for our relationship, and for the rest of our lives, this is where we're going to operate. I'm not going to settle for anything less, or at least I'm not going to provide anything less, because this is your
So,
standard.
Talk with Nino says, I think there are many women that would have slept with him after that meal, which makes it difficult for women that require more. And I agree with that, Curie, because number one, I told the gentleman before we ever met,
Right.
you know, he said he wasn't looking for anything. So I followed up and told him where I stand, and I said, here's a manipulator though, because once I was in his presence, so he's the one that opened up the conversation that he wasn't, looking for anything. So he said that he thought I was very direct when I told him, as long as you're not looking for anything sexual. I said, well, you opened up the dialogue. I said, I believe healthy, honest, open conversation is what's needed. It's healthy for everybody. I said, so there's no misunderstanding. I said, you clearly stated where you was at. I said, and I in turn accommodated you and engaged and let you know where I'm at. But I think he thought that, oh, he can entice me by a good meal, which when I met him, I had just bought a MacBook. I spent almost $3,000, and he saw my package, and I was at a different restaurant. And what made you think I was going? And we're both in the same field, so he doesn't know what I make, but he knows I make decent money, because he kept alluding to because the area I live in is a lot of companies, and I said, yeah, I'm in the same industry, so he knows this. But again, to Nino's point, and I've seen it time and time again, so many women come with the quote unquote provider mentality and what you can do for me. And if you got enough money in your pockets, then that's your avenue for me to pull down my panties. And that's the message that's out there. I mean, I see it, it's disgraceful. And when you try to have conversations, organic conversations, like me with females, it's disheartening. Like my daughter, she is a sophomore in college, and to the point that you just had that conversation with your 11-year-old daughter about the skirt. My daughter, she was going somewhere, so out with some friends one day, and she called me to show me this. She actually went home for the weekend, and it was her high school friends that she were hank hooking up with, and she called to show me her outfit and wanted my input. How you doing, Joy? Welcome in. She hit the thumbs up for me too if you get a chance, Joy. I appreciate it. The skirt was very low, and and I had the conversation with her, and she wanted to get off the phone with me. you know. But I said, I'm going to play my role whether you like it or not, because I know at the end of the day, one day you will appreciate it. I remember being younger, when my father had conversations with me. Those conversations have, and God rest his soul, he passed away in 2009. I was in my mid 30s. I hold on to everything he has ever told me, and everything he ever told me is true, has come to pass. And I know when I have shared with my children, sometimes they don't like what I have said. I can see it more now than my son because he's older. He appreciates that now, and I know my daughter, she's 10 years younger. She ain't there yet, but I can see little sprinkles of her, holding on to what I say. Let me see. Nino says, it's so frustrating. I don't want to give up on love. The idea of love lights up my soul, but I refuse to settle. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not willing to give. Amen, Nino. And listen, let me take um hold on, where's it at? Make sure you follow Kuri. Kuri talks about sexless. His focus is males. And we'll see me and Kuri have more conversations and linking up and really partnering, because that's one of the things I think is needed on social media. Number one, we need to support each other and collaborate when it makes sense, and what we our focus and intention definitely um fits together like a puzzle. But follow Curie Nino. Also, he talks about sexless relationship and just healthy relationships, and his focus is males. So make sure you guys follow him as well. But go ahead, Curie.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's yeah, with kids. There's one of my mentors. He was saying that you know.
Thank you for following Nino. He's gonna follow you.
Oh, thank you very much, Nita. What my mentor was telling me about that. There's certain things that you talk about in terms of discipline, or not even discipline, but just talk to your children about, and at the time when you deliver it, they would not like it. So, and as an example, you said when your daughter was 4 years old or whatever, and she started learning how to brush her teeth. At some point, I would then take it before bed, brush her teeth now, and she would hate it because she wants to play. It's an inconvenience to her. And then I did this over time. And then at some point, I said to her, go and brush your teeth. And she would go and do it. And she hated it. But now, she's now 11. I just say to her, it's bedtime. I don't even have to remind her to go and brush your teeth. And there's this external accountability, whereas now it's turned into this internal accountability. And this, like you said, parenting is very difficult. And when it comes to parenting, extremely difficult, but it is to be consistent with that message, even though you look like the bad guy. You're
Right.
the bad guy for a period of time because it's making them externally accountable. But there's a point in their lives where that external accountability becomes internal. That it's you don't need to say anything. They just know the path because you've given them that opportunity to learn the path. So it's absolutely amazing that you still are willing to be the bad guy.
Yeah, but you have to, like, and another thing, like, I really appreciate, so I have guys that follow me here as well, right? And what I've also come to understand is a lot of men need validation, and they need to hear from women as well. And one of the things that I have learned, speaking out too, is because number one, I do have a son. um a lot of these channels will focus just specifically, like, so obviously my main avatar is a woman, right? But I still have a love and a responsibility for men because I have a son, and number one, I love men. And they need a voice or the ability to have conversations, when a woman is present. And that's why I think you being here, also being that the majority of my audience is female, like, women need to hear from a healthy, mentally and emotionally man that is out here trying to be productive and helping to heal some of these pains in relationships, and it's just not happening enough. um, I definitely see the benefit of having conversations with, like, people like you, because you give a different voice and a different perspective. Like you said, like, within the family, there's the mother and father. Let's be honest, a lot of families in the Black community, they've never seen positive male and female interactions. I don't even think on a platonic level, because most of the time it becomes physical. You know, it is so unhealthy and so toxic that we have to have these honest conversations because they're not being had. They are just not being had in our community. And to Nino's point, like, um, I encourage and I celebrate, not giving up on love and not settling. Look, I haven't been in a relationship in over 4 years now. If I hadn't done that work, somebody would have been floored and just all in with a guy that's willing, to spend a couple $100 on you. But
Right.
they don't, what they people don't understand is when you don't do the work, it really does chip away at your soul, you
Yeah.
know, and I just don't know what else to say other than demonstrate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so proud that you're actually talking about it, because people would shy away from talking about it. And I think it's this message is more important now, that if just bringing value to courtship, it is like I forgot the person that said they believe in love. It's absolutely, you should believe in love, and
Mhm.
sometimes value that courtship. That if you are going to date somebody, taking your time before you make it physical, really interacting with those people around friends as well, so that your friends can actually vet him and see who that
Yep.
person. And that's how people used to do it back in the day, and it was more effective because that decision making wasn't based off of how much money you spent and whether it's good in bed or whether it's physically amazing. It was more around, how is he interacting with my friends? Is he giving them a side eye? Is he, respectful? And again, you can tell a lot when, especially around friends, because they'll put him under pressure, for example, and that pressure, you see how he's going to deal with that pressure. If you cannot be around people and around, and that's part of courtship, that you're going to spend time together as together as getting to know each other. But as before you even get it physical, I would say get them to see your friends or be around in a social situation and see how they interact with other people. If they
Mhm.
standoffish, are they contributing? More importantly, are they contributing to the energy of the room? Because again, if they're just going to be standoffish, they're waiting for somebody to serve them. Are they willing to be courteous? Are they be all those things are qualities that you can then look at and say, okay, is this person? Because if they cannot do that in an interaction like that, there's no way they'll be doing it when the honeymoon period is gone. That's the
Yep.
person with, and that person is very. I, we call it the runway in our program. The bigger the runway, the bigger the plane. So if you want an amazing relationship, allow that runway to be as long as possible, so that courtship can be long. Yes, you might feel the physical urges, and I think it's even more exciting when you delay the gratification, or delay that delaying of it is builds excitement, but also builds immense amount of value. That, yeah, okay,
Absolutely.
so that, and again, it's for a male perspective. I find it is just put it, so if she's easy, for a guy, then
The
you have,
thrill is gone. The thrill is gone.
that's it. So
Yeah.
the value is built in the the extension of that courtship. So when you extend that courtship, it makes it more valuable, because it's like the getting of diamond. My uncle took me to South Africa. Oh, sorry, just 1 second. I just
Sure.
need to.
Why he's doing uh, so what I know to be true, like I was speaking about you know, going out this past weekend. It was actually offensive that I already set that boundary, and here I have an older man that's still trying to quote unquote, I guess, out with me, for his personal gain. Like, and I even told him, I said, I'm mature. This is even before I met him. I'm mature. I said, I have boundaries. I have self respect, and I'm not out here playing with people. But so that is a reality of how unhealthy other people are. Here I am. I gave you the blueprint, but you still gonna try to outwit me to get some panties. you know I mean, for real. And I'm like, and at 50, see, some women might be vulnerable because they might think, oh, you don't listen. What I know to be true about self-love that I didn't know until I went through these several years of really soul searching and healing and addressing all my pains and past issues is um, I'm comfortable with me regardless of anybody. And although I believe in love, I believe in courtship, all that, like, who wants to be alone, right? But I'm not willing to compromise my mental and my physical health. And I know for a fact that everybody does not deserve me. You know, there's not enough people that have done enough work on themselves and that are emotionally healthy enough to have a front row seat in your life. And I understand that. And so the sooner that other people get there, then they will realize that life can be fulfilling in the meantime and in between time, you finding that person for you. And just in case, if you don't find that person, guess what? There are friendships, there's other relationships, there's other things in life that you can be fulfilled to have a happy, healthy whole life. You know, I haven't given up on love. I hope I've never been married. I hope to be married one day, and I'm at 50. But just in case I don't, life will go on, and I still want to leave my mark to make the world better for somebody after me. And
I think we'll get married. Yeah, unbelievable lady, and I can tell you that's the right way of how things are done. You will get guys that will come. You know, it's the proverbial kissing frogs before you create your prince, type thing. And I think you will get that. And like I said, if you've that self work that you've done, and this is not the dictionary definition of it, but this is how I'm beginning to see it. That there's loneliness and being
mm,
alone. You can choose to be alone and say, you know what, I could get somebody, but I know that there's certain conditions I want that person to come into my life. So I choose not to be with somebody, which is alone. So I choose to be alone.
mhm,
Or people, I'm going to walk to a different room because I'm choosing this for myself. And then there's a lot of people that have a sense of loneliness, regardless of what they have, what they've achieved, and what they could potentially do, despite of what is being given to them, opportunities like you trying to give to people and do everything. That will choose to feel a sense of nothing and really want to feel that loneliness with
mhm.
stuff. So whether it's you know meeting
I think
a guy and so on.
I think you have to have, and this is just me, because I went through a stage where I was very lonely. I actually did a video the other day. I said single, black, alone, and afraid. And now, and it was, but the focus was my anxiety. And I know that there are a lot of black women that's middle age. I said single, middle age, alone, and afraid, that are middle aged like me, that are alone, and that go through fears. Like my fears are real. When I have anxiety, that is a real thing that I have to learn. I'm learning how to manage, right? And I know it's more people like me that look like me than not that going through that, or and have done nothing about it, and are suffering silently. But I got past, when you give yourself enough time. See, spirituality helped me get past lonely, and transition to alone. And there is a major difference.
There is,
Lonely will get you in a lot of trouble. And it's a lot of loneliness can turn into a disease, a deadly disease.
yeah, absolutely.
And go ahead.
No, absolutely agree. I was just
Oh,
agreeing with,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's just helped me in my life. But it was a long journey, and a lot of people, see, they abandon they abandon the work before they reap the rewards. I stayed in it, and it was a lot. I mean, when I tell you, I did a lot of suffering. I did a lot of suffering from the aspect of, loneliness was very real. But the lonelier I got, the harder and the greater I prayed. The more I had struggles, the more that my spirituality increased. And I really started to open up and tell myself truths. That's why I say, in order to heal, you got to get real. And the first thing you got to do is quit lying. Quit lying to yourself and then others. So many people are still out here lying to themselves. Like I know someone personally that have just been in a horrible relationship her over 20 years. And my heart goes out. I no longer allow it to affect my life, but it's a reality. Here's somebody that possibly will never know what true healing and a healthy love is, and a healthy love, not for other people, but for self. Because when you have a healthy love for yourself, then a lot of that mess that you deal with in relationships, so you don't no longer deal with. You should, like, oh boy, this past weekend, Teddy. His name. That's what he said. His name. I don't know if his name was Teddy Theodore or not. But what I do know is Teddy can't play with me
Right.
because I didn't did enough work on me, and I love me enough to where I have boundaries and principles, and I'm not playing with you, and I'm not gonna let you con me out of my panties. I'm not gonna let you lie to me, and or I'm not gonna lie to myself and make and say that you who I've been looking for. No, I found that when me and God was by ourselves, when I was by myself and God was talking to me constantly. And I know a lot of people don't know what that is because they ain't did enough work and they haven't allowed enough time to get there. But the good news is if you allow yourself to go through that and to really search your soul and to become one, like in alignment with a higher power, or however you want to define it, it is there. It is there.
Is yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I liked what you said. And as you're speaking, I was thinking about poker. I've never played poker, but
Mhm.
apparently, when you are on a table, you might have a buy-in to play the game. So you don't just come in and set your chips and then start playing. I think some tables might have a certain amount that you have to put, or I don't know, but I'm
Right.
guessing your poker table, the price to join that game has increased. It's not enough just to buy a $200. He has to bring a bit more than what is because and that's the thing when you are choosing to be alone. That's part of the things that you've worked on, the things that have caused you trouble in the past. You work
Mhm.
That's amazing, that by the way that you're working on that, because you know that it is something that will chip away at your relationship, because when you anxiety, again, it's just that thing that can start chipping away, because you now have dependent on somebody to deal with anxiety, and that
Exactly.
can break into a relationship. But
Mhm.
if you're empowered in that area of your life, then you're consistently in contribution. In fact, um, one thing that I learned from lockdown was to be more selfish in our relationship. What I mean by that is that I look after myself to the point that I'm in contribution to the relationship. So I'm not, oh, I'm struggling. So can you give me that? And when we're both taking from the relationship, at some point there's nothing to take, and then
Exactly.
further. And I mean, we found ourselves before lockdown further apart in our
Mhm.
relationship. As with It was the first time we stopped and really looked at our relationship, and there was a real chasm in our relationship. I was like, God, and we're at that point where it was a real possibility to be divorcing. So we've shifted, and this part where we can really work individually on ourselves puts us in a place where we're in contribution to the relationship, which makes it more fulfilling, as opposed to if, like I said, if you're not doing the work and
Mhm.
you operating out of loneliness, that I'm scared of being lonely, so therefore I'm going to
You lower your standards.
lower standards. So that person comes in and the buy-in is so low,
Yes.
with such so low respect, and there's lack of respect in the relationship, and because you're afraid of being alone, then they'll go and cheat on you, and then they'll do all sorts of things, horrible things. And I see people that have just horrible things that happen in a toxic way. And again, it's not the other person, that's the person that you've allowed into your life. And again, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. That's just how it is with society, that we find ourselves in these sort of scenarios. But again, these conversations are important because now we're hopefully helping people to see that there is a lot more that is important to look at in terms of running into a relationship, that there's certain things that you have to consider, that courtship needs to be of great importance, certain things that you're looking into. In fact, I want to challenge some of the people that if they're not seeing anybody, I'll challenge to take on things that are completely out of your comfort zone. So, for example, for yourself,
Exactly.
I want you to take something that is absolute out of comfort zone. So whether it could be take on comedy class, so
Mhm.
go to a place where you're out of your comfort zone, you've never done it before, you're afraid, you're nervous. The people that you're going to meet over there are going to have the same feelings, but you're learning a skill. It will, firstly, you'll meet people that you've never met before, get to make good friendships for that period of time that you're learning. But more importantly, potentially you might meet somebody who's going to be a partner over there. So most people, they would wait for something to happen, but you can be proactive with it. So again, the other one I send people to is dance classes. So if you've got
Mhm.
a class, Latin dancing, it is, music. There's people that are there. It's working out. It's good endorphins. All of those things are proactive, but again, so it doesn't have to be that. It could be whatever is out of your comfort zone that you think, oh, I'll never do that. That is exactly where I would push you to go. That's where you're most likely to meet your partner. But more importantly, not that you're going to meet your partner, but more importantly, it's something that is going to just build onto your confidence. That okay, this is a skill that I didn't have, and as you walk away, oh, I can't believe I got this skill. And I think a lot of people that I've taken through that have really had good interactions with people, but more importantly, have met people that have become friends for life. So it's probably an avenue that nobody has spoken about before, but I think it's something that is worth exploring, especially for people that are single and looking for love. Is that you just sign up for things. Somebody says, "Come and do this thing here," and they'll be like, "Oh, I've never done it before." Say yes and see where it goes. If you are really horrible at it, be horrible at it and enjoy being horrible at it. It becomes a real good story that shows, at least gives you an opportunity to build confidence in yourself.
Absolutely. Hey, Lenny, welcome in. Good to see you, friend. To your point, Curie, um, that old saying, the insanity, looking for a different result when you keep doing the same thing. And let's be honest, that's what a lot of people do in relationships. They get out of run relationship, and they don't even spend time with themselves. They run right into another one with the same type of people, and it's a never ending cycle. And now we have all these broken people. You have to be able to do something different. I did a new thing. That's
Well,
why that's why you and I are sitting here. Hey, Faith, good to see you. You remember Curie having an organic conversation with Curie about relationships. Nino said, I'm going to try that, participating in something that's outside of my comfort zone. Absolutely. Countdown timer. Absolutely. You all have to do something different. Listen, y'all would not have known me. Y'all would not, me and Curie would not be sitting here right now if I wouldn't have did a new thing. And a new thing was I quit looking for other people for my happiness, and I started to tell the truth about where I was emotionally, and I needed some healing. And I even went further. I started to speak out on social media about it, and here we are. So, and it's been a blessing. Curie has just like a lot of you follow me on other platforms. Curie and I connect on a different platform, and at a time where I was second guessing myself and not thinking about staying as active as I am on social media. Here's Curie in my inbox encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing. And you never God, so I'm a believer. God will send you what you need. And at that moment, I needed that. And I didn't know Curie, but he shifted something in me. God uses people. That's why make sure y'all go follow Curry on his platform. I really love what he's doing. But you'll see me on his platform. We gonna definitely keep doing things. And like you said, you come with a lot of wisdom, and you come with a lot of intention on, the truth of what people need to hear. Because let's be honest, we all know this. It's not enough healthy relationships with people that look like you and me. Whether it's even when they are in other relationships with outside of the Black community, we don't have enough experience with healthy mindsets and people that have shown us what healthy and positive look like in relationships. And we need to have these honest conversations and tell the hard truths. Yeah, do a new thing. Quit doing the same old thing, because every time I say the truth, I see it more and it tickles me and it just fires me up to keep talking. But Facebook is terrible. I don't even like Facebook, but I throw my stuff up there just because for whatever reason I'm getting a lot of rhythm over there. So I just throw it up and I get more people support me than not, but them comments, they be tearing me up in them comments. I might get 10,000 thumbs up, but I got 500 people in the comments that's tearing me up because they are addicted to toxicness and pain and just things that it does not celebrate us and it does not help us to reach that happy healthy life. And wait a minute, Talk When Nino says I can't find his page. Can you put the link in the chat?
Uh,
um
let's see if I can just get.
Can you do you got access to the chat, Curie?
I don't know. I think I do. I meant
Okay.
see.
Yeah, because we both this should be airing on both. I thought it might be airing on both our
Yeah,
platforms.
I think it gave me the option to put it up for me, and I didn't. I should have. So, I'm
Let
sorry.
me
Let's see if I can get it up for you.
comment. Let me go back to the comments. But I met Curie on here, and you really do meet people that can add into your life. And I think that is very necessary to stay connected with people that can keep you, focused or at least allow you the opportunity to reset. Because we're human, so we can get off course, but you need to be surrounded by people that can really keep you in a pathway that you don't veer too far off, you know. And a
I think,
lot of people do that for me.
uh,
Oh, let me see. I see something in the comment. Let me see. Private chat. Yeah. Okay. I got it. Let me copy it. Hold on, y'all. I'm about to put it in the chat. All right. It should be there. It is in the chat, y'all. Right there in the chat. So make sure y'all go follow Curry and Kiri. So we need to commit. I'm gonna put you I'm holding myself accountable right now. We're gonna do more of these more often and just have go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to do so because I think we did have a few topics wanted to talk about,
Hmm.
but definitely some of the things where we can cover a little bit more about single people, how they can prepare for a future partner. I think that's a good thing to think about, especially when it comes to partners, how to pick partners that are maybe at a healthier place. Because I think today's episode, there's a podcast episode I made, and we're covering a guy that was in an abusive relationship for 20 years, and his
Hmm.
wife came up and so on. But the telltale signs were there in the beginning. So
There are listen every so, and this is just the honest truth. See, that's the good part. We have two different perspectives. You're a married man and you're helping people in relationships. So where I'm at the stage in my life, I'm in the meantime and in between time. If it don't happen, you can go on and have a healthy life, and that's more of what I want to encourage people to do. Like, I believe in love and all that, but you know what? Um, I can't wait on that. I just can't. But see, I'm getting older too because I just lost my train of thought. But anyway,
because I think you will, and like I said, some of it is just really going out of the comfort zone. Like I said, like improv class is probably one that nobody would go to. Comedy class nobody would go to because they just think it's out of my comfort zone. But it's something that when you do it, it just opens your eyes to something else that is completely different. And most people wouldn't do that; they would prefer to be walked upon on the streets or whatever. Again, could be even you and your friends, let's go and do cocktail making, for example, or let's go and do something that is completely out of your comfort zone that you don't normally go to. And that is where the power is, because you're most likely to meet people that just got an interest, especially something that you're interested in. So if you were, for example, you do you do YouTube, so going to a YouTube conference place, again, sign yourself up to that. It would be somewhere where you would meet somebody who's most likely got the same mission as you are, and some, again, it doesn't have to be relationship specifically, but it's just
yeah.
friendship that we have, and it's the connections that we make that gives us the best outcomes, especially from a relationship standpoint. So that it's something that we can talk about on the next one, I think. And
Yeah,
like I was saying, the episode I was talking about, yeah, those telltale signs are there in the beginning. So he, for example, for him, there were some issues that he had, and the lady has some issues that she had, and therefore, if I was there in the beginning, I'd have said, okay, this is not going to work. This is what you need to work on before, or this is what you need to look at, and this is not good for you. So I think it's good. It'll be good to talk about a little bit about that, and hopefully we can see where like the conversation goes.
absolutely. Well, I know we got to wrap up because I know you got to go. So let me say this and then we can wrap it up. Nino says truth. I told myself the other day that not everyone finds love. I might be one of those people. However, I have to love myself enough to live a fulfilling life. Exactly. And like, don't give up on love. I haven't given up, but people can be so obsessed with that, obviously, that it can just take over their lives. And I see that in a lot of people, and it's just not a healthy way to be, because you leave yourself vulnerable to be taken advantage of, let down, used, all those things, and used and abused. And this is my opinion, a lot of people's emotional conditions and unhealthy state is because of bad relationships. And and people need to take enough time out to heal, to heal, and then to start anew and do something different, like you
Right.
said.
Yeah.
Do
Don't look at love in a passive manner. I'm waiting for something to happen for me to be in love. You be more proactive with it. If
Mhm.
it will never happen in my life. Um, if I was single, personally, that's what I would do. I would be. I love. I'm learning about YouTube. I'm learning about making videos. I'll
Mhm.
most at events where they're talking about it. I'll be at places where, and I would most likely have conversations with people. Ask them out, go for a drink. If they're further along, we have conversations, and I would most likely meet my partner around the things that I'm interested in. If not, then I'll be doing something that is completely out of. So I mean, the extreme would be skydiving, for example. If you've met somebody over there, you bond with them pretty quickly because it's some. But again, it's those sort of environments where you get to meet somebody that you would have never thought you'd meet, and because you've got similar interests, there's better chances of you actually having a better connection. And again, with the as long as you value the courtship, making it as long as possible, building anticipation, building value within that relationship. The longer you wait before it's physical, the better it is to actually get a better sense of where things are going. Because if within 3 dates there hasn't been any physical, and then they give up, then at least you know that you've saved yourself from a bullet. You know,
Exactly. And I saved myself what from a bullet.
you would have been like, "Oh God, again," you know. But like I said, if you lower your standards when you're getting into the relationship, you've already set the trend to continue
Mhm.
standards, and they'll continue asking for that. So the fact that he ignored what you said and was willing to ask you to lower your standards, disrespectful, by the way, massively disrespectful. Uh,
Exactly.
so and again, I for me it looked disrespectful that you've told him exactly how you want to engage this relationship,
Yep.
and you're down to do something massively and
And I took it as disrespectful.
yeah, and if you lower it and you take it, then you've set the standards of how that relationship is going to operate, and we call it the rules of engagement. So if
Hmm.
rules of engagement lower than you're supposed to, that person will treat you as such, and that sets up the relationship to on a really really horrible place. So yeah, definitely amazing what you've done.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, whether you know it or not, black women need to hear that from you, from a black man. Even though they might not be listening, some of them are, because our standards are, I have, they are way low. They are too low. And it will never go away. Material things, yeah, everybody is after material things, Material things don't make you happy. You might think the short interim you get a satisfaction, but the long haul, you need them principles, those boundaries, those expectations, that self-worth, that accountability. It's gonna set the stage for how you want to end this thing. And not enough of us is doing that, you know.
Absolutely. In fact, just one last story. But when I met my wife, um, we had a pizza in the park. That was our first date.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, I was ambitious, went on to try and build a company that collapsed, and
Mm-hmm.
had to file for bankruptcy. And she stood by me. So for the women's standards now, or I mean, not all women, but with standards right now, she had a right to
You'd have
leave.
been out the door.
But she stood by me, and I remember she was pregnant with our daughter, and she was working, and I was still trying to figure things out. I was not bringing any money, so she had every right to give me. And yeah, it was getting emotional thinking about it. And she stood by me the whole time. Stood by me and believed in what I was doing. We've gone on to do very well for ourselves, but I think there's that no patience amongst people that uh,
Mm-hmm.
they only see what's happening right now. But she saw potential in our relationship and our future, and she, in that poker analogy, she was all in our relationship, and I'll ever be grateful for somebody that could just believe in me. And I think guys just need somebody who can believe in them, and you can make things happen. And I think
That's
it,
beautiful.
yeah, I think that's one message I think the youth really need now, that you can build something together. Absolutely.
Amen. You can. And you know what? People like you um give me hope. And that's what it's all about. It's some real sick people in the world. I don't know how to get rid of that guy, but he's a sick bastard. Um but you know what? We're gonna stay the course, and we're gonna keep speaking truth, because it's people, like this sick bastard that just requested that they need help. And it's a lot of people that are good people that need to be weary and stay clear of people that that aren't emotionally well, because it's a lot of sick people out there. And in the day of always other people, not us. No, it's a lot of us that need help. And to be able to engage mentally mature people like yourself, it's a blessing, and I appreciate it. And I really enjoyed our conversation this evening.
Me too. And we're definitely going to have another one pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Make them sure that we shouldn't make it so long before we have another one. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and let's do that. We'll definitely connect. We'll reach out and communicate how we do on the other platform, and put something together. And there's a couple things I want to tell you about too. But I enjoyed you tonight, and don't forget to follow Thriving Tribesmen. I'm Boost Boswell. That's Kuri. We're gonna keep having these real conversations, so people can heal and live happy, healthy lives. And Nino's, this could be something for the future. She said, I want to talk about what potential should look like. Yeah, we can, we'll put that up there too. And that's another thing. If y'all have topics that y'all want to engage us with, definitely shoot me a note, or shoot Curie a note, and we'll make it happen.
Fantastic. Amazing. Thank you very much for
Thank
having.
you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care.
All right. Bye bye. Bye, everybody.